All right. Okay. I'm basically going to use the same jack point on this side. I'm just using basically under this front frame support under here. You don't want to do it right on the very end of it. Just kind of do it off to the side. I'd take the camera off, but that's going to be a chore. Alright, let's get our center cap off. Again, we still got to put our jack stand and all that stuff. We're just taking off the center cap, and it's really not a good idea to set these in front or behind the wheel either, because, you know, it'd be a fun way to get rid of them. I mean, I'd be all for that just for the hell of it. Alright, we're going to loosen our lug nuts here. Oh, I guess that's off the air a little bit there. Got some air there, so let's... Again, notice the way that I'm standing. I'm not really using my back. I'm kind of using my, just pretty much my upper arms, because you can really screw your back up, you know, with these things, which is why it's important to make sure that you have a nice lug wrench, because if you're trying to do it with a crappy wrench, then that just makes it even worse. The longer and the heavier duty the wrench, the better. Really, a nice 2-foot or 3-foot breaker bar is really the ticket for that. Okay, we ought to have some air here, and we do. About a 1/2 inch or so. Again, you can lift it up higher or lower if you need to, but when it comes to putting the wheel back on, you know, you try and have it kind of level with the ground so that you're not doing a lot of lifting there. All right. Jack stand. Kind of like to remember it like jack stand, chalk. Because I usually put a wheel chock someplace. Alright, that's good. And the chock's on the other wheel still, so that's fine. Like I said, the way this thing's sitting, you don't really need it, but it's not a bad idea. Wow, I got my gloves on, right? We'll see how long that lasts, right? All right. Okay. Sorry about that. My camera just shut off for whatever reason. Sometimes it's the battery, sometimes it overheats, blah, blah, blah. All right. All right, get the wheel out of here. Let's go put it someplace where it probably won't roll away. Alright, and we're back to the same old situation over here on this side here, so we're going to see if we can break these caliper bolts loose. Again, you can take this whole thing off of here, you have to anyways, but best to try and break these loose. That's, you know, sometimes you forget to do that. Break bolts loose while it's still bolted to whatever, but alright. Okay. Alright, that one's almost out. I'm going to crack the brake line bolt and the bleeder screw here. I'll go get my drain pan over here. You can get drain pans in a lot of different kinds too. There's these kind here, and then there's ones that are closed, and it's actually kind of nice to have some of each, really, just depending on the project you're working on. And I need to go get my little bleeder screw tool over here. Alright. Excuse me. Alright. Cracking the brake caliper line bolt. That one's got some stuff on it. Alright. Yeah, way easier to do when it's still on the vehicle. Alright, bleeder screw up here. This one's really stuck. I can feel it moving a little bit. So if you feel it move a little, move it back the other way, work it back and forth. And now would be the time. I'm just going to go ahead and put some penetrating oil on that so it can soak. The WD-40 works okay. There's some stuff that work a little bit better, but given the fact that this is moving around a little bit, it should be alright. While I'm at it, I'm going to hit these interesting. There is only one caliper bracket bolt in here. One in the bottom. The one in the top is gone. Yeah, I've never done the brakes on this thing. They were done right before the person I knew bought it. Huh. Well, I guess that bottom one's on there tight enough. I'm trying to, I guess with these loaded in here, it really can't go anywhere. So, not really a big deal. They will have a replacement one, something like that at the auto parts store. So I'm not worried about it. But, I got to go in there and get the parts for the rear brake pads too, for the shoes, for the parking brake shoes for the rear. So let me work on this just a little bit more here. Yeah, that one definitely needs to soak a little bit there. It's wiggling back and forth. I have faith I'll get it out of there. These bleeder bolt screws are small enough that the caliper's heavy enough that if you've got the caliper off, you can work on getting a bleeder screw out of there. So, all right, take the brake line all the way off and take the caliper out. Again, I'm just going to put the old brake line down in this drain pan here and take the banjo bolt here and just screw it back in the caliper here so I know where it's at. Let some of that brake fluid drain out of there. Actually, I'm going to leave this bolt out for a second because I may need to pry on these pistons or move this thing back and forth a little bit to get this caliper out of here. I'm not sure. Loosen that up a little bit more. Yeah, that'll move just fine. Once these things are out of there, we'll be good. Should be good to go. All right. Again, the way this caliper and these clips and all this stuff go on here, it's a little bit on the fidgety side. And this is where on the other one, what I really needed to do was back these pistons off a little bit. What you can do is wedge your screwdriver kind of on this rotor here, and again we're replacing all that, so, and on this here, and just pull on a little bit, and that helps put pressure on those pistons. There's two pistons in there, so doing it on the top and the bottom helps get some of that fluid out of there. Yo, and there it goes, coming right off. All right. All right. I think we could just be doing the same thing here. We'll clean that up. That's funny. These things are just like hanging in there. It'll just come out like that. Now we gotta loosen these bolts here. Let me make sure my camera's still going. Alright. Well, we've only got one caliper bolt to take out. Yeah, the other one's just freaking gone. Yeah, there's no bolt in the top here. So, I guess if you take your brakes apart and somebody steals one of your caliper bolts, you're still okay. If you need to in an emergency. Just the one bolt, and they should have one of those at the auto parts store. That's or the hardware store even. I mean, there's nothing fancy about that bolt there. You'd probably want to get, you know, at least a grade 5 or a grade 8, you know, quality bolt, but you know, it's just been using this one, so you could, you know, pretty much stick a plastic bolt in the top part and that'd be better than nothing. So all right, I'm going to let's see if we can get the rotor off here. And usually the hang up here is you get rust between the hub and the rotor, and then sometimes the lug nut holes, especially if they've been, you know, especially if they've been four-wheeled a lot and had a lot of moisture and mud and dirt and stuff that doesn't get cleaned out, and that causes a lot of problems too. So, but otherwise we should be pretty good to go. So I'm going to clean some of this stuff up a little bit here. I just take this stuff, I take it over where I got some gravel there, and I just take usually just a hose and a wire brush and just knock all the big crap off of it, clean it up and check it and make sure everything looks okay, and bring it back over and we'll put it back together. So, get the camera here. All right. Got the other rotor out of the package. Kind of hosed it off with this stuff over there. Hit it again with a paper towel or something. Like I said, when the black's pretty much done coming off, then it's pretty good. Pretty good. Hit the other side again. Want to have it laying on some plastic or some cardboard or something, you know. Unless you've got the world's cleanest, smoothest driveway. And I'm sure somebody does have one like that. Alright, I think we're good there. Don't see too much desperately wrong with this side, other than the fact that you can see how this hole down here for the one caliper bolt's shiny, and this one appears all rusty because water was getting in between there and the caliper because there was no bolt in there. So it's been like that. The person that owns this has had it for about 5 years, so it's been like that for a while. All right, time to put the new rotor on here. That little, where it fits kind of flush there, that's where it rusts, and where sometimes they're hard to get off of there. Okay, now let's see. We've got the caliper bracket over here, and again we've got the same thing going on with the spring clips here. So let me go grab the new clips. Oh, that was like taking a trip. Jeez Louise. Oh, Brady Bunch went to Hawaii and back before that happened. Jeez Louise. Alright, what are we doing here? Clips. So we're going to replace this one here. Oh, screwdriver. pop this sucker off here. It's been on there for a while. All these parts have been doing double duty apparently, without the caliper bolt there. Alright, so we've got one of these. Really gotta look at them. No, it's this one. I think. No, it's this one. See, these things, they'll change them a little, and they won't be exactly, you know, and so it kind of messes with your head. Oh wait, no, it goes on this way. This way here. This one comes off. It's on there like that. And so this one's going to go on there like that. Again, sometimes the older brick, I mean, this is okay, but I don't know. Some things are more intuitive than others. Like some things you just, if you mess with it long enough, you'll figure it out. And other things like this, it's like it was kind of wonky from the beginning. So it's like your instinct, if you're with a designer, would be like, no, I wouldn't do that. Ah, but what are you going to do? Okay. Like buy an older vehicle. Yes, I agree. Alright, what are we doing? Caliper. Putting the caliper bracket back on. Again, we only got one bolt, so, but that, you know, I'll pick up another bolt. I don't need, that's not going to stop me. I can just put the new bolt right in there. Not a big deal. All I got to do is just loosen this one and jiggle everything around a little bit, and it shouldn't be a problem. Actually lining up pretty good as it is. It had its little it had its little groove that it was in, that's for sure. Right about there. Alright, now let's see here. Let me just kind of double check the alignment of this hole here. You know, let me check real quick, because I'm going to take this thing back out real quick, because I might have a bolt like this laying around. One that I can at least align this top hole with a little more permanently if I want to. So I'm going to be right back. I'm going to go see if I got a bolt like this. Alright. I didn't have a bolt quite that big, but I got one that's just a little bit smaller. It's good enough to get me to line this bolt hole. So it's pretty close while I snug it up. Again, I may have to loosen this bottom one a little bit when I get the other bolt, but it should be pretty damn close. Let's get in here. Alright, that's good enough. I'll put a final torque and check on that when we get the other bolt in there. So yeah, again, this is what happens. We've had parking brake shoe fall apart and missing a caliper bolt back here, so you know. Alright, let's see. Next we need to you're probably wondering if I found an easier method of putting those pads on. No, I didn't. I didn't really look though either, so I'm just going to try it again here and let's see. Now these old ones that came off of here, the squeaker was on the top. I don't know if it matters if it's on the top of this pad or if it's on the bottom of this one. I don't really think it matters. Although it makes more sense to have it drag than protrude up. Again, this is a, I believe they changed the designs a little bit on these things too. I can maybe see why. I almost had this one in over here. Let me give this thing a smack with my mount here real quick. This clip's kind of wonky on here. I mean, they're designed to be kind of springy, and I get that, but yeah. Fortunately, that wasn't in the oil pan. Freaking kidding me, man? I just don't understand what it is I'm doing wrong. You're like, I know. Fuck. Ah, son of a bitch. Alright, I gotta figure it out. Okay, so finally got them on there. Another video, I actually went and watched some videos. Another video suggested that sometimes these top forks on these pads need to be ground down a little bit because they won't quite fit in here, or because there's too much paint on there, or just because of the way the pad's manufactured. I basically, it's kind of easier to get the back one in, and then these clips are kind of sprung. You know, this one kind of wants to push down, and that one kind of wants to push down, so you need to get the bottom part of this in there and then hold this clip down. You could probably get some walking pliers or something and hold this part down, hold the pad down, and then just kind of, it's very fidgety. The slots in these things, I believe, in these pads probably need to be deeper. I'm going to guess, I mean, I don't know. I'm going to guess, though, probably when they were originally manufactured, the slots were probably deeper and all this stuff probably fit better, but as time after the stuff gets, you know, reproduced and everything, and the tolerances get off, because they are supposed to just kind of pop in there. They are really just kind of supposed to push this down and maybe lift it up, and they are just kind of supposed to pop in there. They're very tight in there, which is good, but yeah, I don't... you almost kind of think you'd want a little bit of play in there, you know, because when this stuff heats up, but, you know, I didn't design the system, so... Alright, so we got the brakes on there. This is on there. What are we doing next? Oh yeah, caliper. So, let's see, we need to push these pistons back in here. Let me, that's a piece of cardboard here. Alright. Let me go get my magic brake caliper tool here. Again, they do make a specific tool for this, so if you do this, you know, a lot, and that's the thing with certain tools, you know, if you use them a lot, it's worth it. If you don't, then, you know, then it's still worth it, because it's another tool that you have, right? You never have too many tools. So, usually you'd use, like, on the other one I just put the clamp on here and I was just careful. Usually you can use an old brake pad to lay on here, or even just, you know, this piece of cardboard. Just something to kind of, just to make sure you don't chew up the surface of the piston there. And it's also a good idea if you're going to put a part of this, you know, on the piston, put the stationary part, not the part that you're twisting, like this bottom part. That way, as this is spinning, it won't gall or goof up the surface there. Alright. Pretty good over there. Whoops. That happens. Like I said, you really are better off using a block of wood or something, but I've been doing this long enough, I know what I'm doing, and I'm right in the middle of it right now, and I just don't feel like getting up and going and grabbing something else otherwise. And these are already kind of pushed in most of the way too, because I kind of had to push them in a little bit, you know, when I was taking them off, so. Alright, that out of the way there. I don't seem to have any of that grease over here, so let me go grab some of that. I seem to have lost the grease. Alright. Again, this stuff on the other ones, I didn't put so much on. I did put a little bit more grease on there when I was off camera, but you're supposed to put a lot on here. I suppose it kind of depends on how well you maintain your car, because you can put an awful lot of grease on these things and you're still just squirting it out all over the place, and you do want to be careful because it's your brakes. That's what I kind of do, is just put it in there from both sides. And that's enough as far as I'm concerned. I mean, this thing was bone dry. This thing was bone dry when I took it off of there, and it's not gonna suffer too much more, I don't think. And again, good idea to put some on, you know, these surfaces here. And again, I think I said I got the bleeder screw out. I just kept working it back and forth a little bit, and after it had a chance to soak, it's good to go. It came out, so we're good there. Again, make sure these are pushed all the way in. I'm trying to remember how I did this on the last one. There was a little bit of a fidgetiness order to this last one too, so on the other side, so. It looks like maybe that piston needs to go in a little bit further, so let me go grab something a little more appropriate for pushing that in. Alright, let's just get a screwdriver in this piece of cardboard here. This is really not going my way today, you know what I mean? Screw it. No, it seems like it's all the way in there. So I think it's just more of these things being a pain in the ass. I'm sure. Okay. This vehicle has a tendency to fight me on everything I do with it, which is why it is not my favorite vehicle to work on. Oh, okay. When I say fighting me, I'm like having this vision of Airplane, you know, where they're like going to disable the computer and the computer's punching at him. Probably got to be either old or have some kind of mental problem to really understand, remember, or appreciate that. Okay. Honest to God, this is like the most fidgetiest disc brake. I mean, disc brakes are usually, they're great. This is like ridiculous. I mean, I've done a lot of, I mean, I know I'm kind of rednecking it out here and stuff, but Oh, yeah. Do this job right once, and then when it needs to do it again, get rid of the vehicle. This is just ridiculous. Nothing fits in here good. This is not a piston sticking out problem. This is just fucked. Son of a bitch. Okay, apparently, you've got to be kidding me. I'm not sure how that works. This brake, this thing here has got to go on the upside of this here. Apparently. It doesn't on the other side, but I guess on the other side it's on the outside and not the inside. I know that doesn't make any sense, but there's a hole back there where the caliper bolts to, and it's not like that on the other side, but on this one here, it's got to be up here, which I figured, you know, just mechanically speaking, you would think you'd have something like this wanting to drag more than be up here, but, you know, whatever. I guess by the time this thing's rubbing on there, we're not talking about braking efficiency anymore. So with that, we're going to go through this little flipping ordeal again here. Alright, we got that one on the back, and I did grind the ends of these down a little bit. Just right on the tops here. I don't really necessarily know if that helped this problem any, but... Okay, so we got the back one on. And then, like I said, these damn clips, they just... Ah, there it went in there. It's frustrating because you can see, at least you can see exactly what the problem is and exactly what needs to happen. It's just like... Alright, now let's see if this thing's going to want to go on there a little bit better now. The rivets on the back of these pads like interfere with... This is really not my favorite design. Holy Jesus! I mean, just really need to be... I guarantee you whoever designed this was laughing their ass off when it got approved. They were like, oh... There, it's just those clips. seems like we're getting this one going over here. Whoop-de-doo. Oh my goodness. Usually it's 100 times easier on the second side because you've already done the first side, but not on this thing. But like I said, this thing's, it's always been like that. It just, I don't know what's going on up here. I got a problem up here. That bolt's not anywhere near to want to go in there. Oh, actually it is. It's going in. I just didn't think it was. Pain in the butt. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's not that big a deal. It's just, I don't know. When you got a zillion other things going on in your head, but again, that's why you need to take your time. And I've walked away, I don't know how many times, and gotten frustrated, pissed, and everything else, but you just got to stick with it. And you run into problems. It doesn't matter how perfect you might be doing your job. It's just missing parts, broken parts, poorly designed parts. Another reason why there's no sense of slobbing a whole bunch of grease on, because by the time you get it all on there, most of it's going to be all over you anyways. Just the reality. I'm not saying don't grease it, just, you know, be stupid about it. Alright. Yeah, having this clip up there, I just, for some reason, I thought that should be on the other side, but it needs to be up there because if it's not up here, then there's a bolt hole there that you can't get to, so. Okay. Alright. Now, let's see here. And by this time, you usually need to wipe the brake rotor off again because you've cheesed it all up. Somebody tell me where we are. Oh, brake line. Alright, we got to do brake line. So let's get the old one off of here. Alright, we got the old one off on this end. The banjo bolt's in there. So we need to pop this vacuum line off these clips here. It's okay if you break the clips, just don't break the vacuum line. Alright, same drill over here. Got a 10mm socket. And then we need to grab my flare nut wrench. I need to take a break, check my camera, grab a flare nut wrench, and get back at it. Okay. In case you didn't see it earlier or weren't paying attention earlier, this is a flare nut wrench, and this is a regular one, and you'll notice this one's got a couple extra corners here, and it's cut out right here so it can go over a brake line. And this is really what you should be using on this kind of stuff. You can usually get these sets, you know, in 4 or 5 at the auto part store or wherever, and it's a worthwhile investment, even if you're only going to use it once or twice, because it's just a nice tool to have on hand. So, okay, where are we here? We're up here. Gonna break it loose here. Let's see here. Alright, let's see. We're turning it this way. And that's the other thing too, when you switch one side to the other, sometimes you gotta pay attention to which way you're loosening and tightening things. Okay, I'm gonna have to get on the other side of this. There we go. That's they give you one little small bottle of brake fluid with this entire brake kit, you know, so make sure you have extra brake fluid on hand. This is probably going to get fast forwarded because who wants to sit and look at the back of my raggy ass head for 10 minutes? Again, this is just some fidgety stuff here. There's no power tool for this. I mean, maybe there is, but okay, we're about getting to where I think we can. All right, yeah, it's off of there now, so all we got to do is just take this 10 mil off here and off it comes. Again, an air ratchet would have been, you know, made about 5 seconds out of that. But they're noisy as hell too, and you should really wear ear protection when you're wearing that stuff. Or wearing that stuff when you're using that stuff. Oh. Alright. Looks like our copper O-ring is stuck on each side of the block here. So, we've got our new hose here. BH381365. I don't know what the other one is. It's either 364 or 366 probably. Let's go see. It's 356, not 365. That's a trick. That was seriously 1365. Okay, that's a totally different part number, not even close. Whatever. Anyways, okay, for a 99 Expedition, it's BH381365 for a front brake line. Alright, I'm going to get this threaded in there. It's another reason to use your hands, at least when you're starting bolts, is if you've ever got a vehicle that, you know, you had like an air impact wrench happy person working on it, man, that, you know, instead of starting them in there and then hitting it, they just, you know, put the bolt, you know, in the socket and just, and that could be a nasty situation. Alright, let's get this thing threading in there by hand. Good to go there. While it's flopping around and we got a little more access to it, we'll put the majority of our turns with this flare nut wrench on there so we can get to it a little bit. Since it's flopping around, it's a little bit easier to get to it. Okay, that's pretty tight. Now we're going to tighten up this 10 mil here going to the frame. Okay, and again, we got our clips here for this hose over here. And we got to slide the clips to the appropriate spot on the hose. Stiff little boogers. Okay. And we got to take our other end over here. Alright, and again, our old copper washers were on either side of that there. So we don't have an old one on the caliper, and we don't have any old ones on the hose yet. So again, you do not want to double those things up, because you will most likely end up with a brake line leak. Not always. I have seen some that were doubled up. They were really super thin copper, and they were munched on there so hard that, but for the most part, one on each side will do you. Isn't that the case with everything? Okay. And again, this is stuff you really should, it's all fine threaded stuff. You should thread it in by hand, especially this stuff going into the caliper here. The banjo bolt, it shouldn't have any rust on it, you know. Okay, switch sockets here. We're going for our 14 here. Okay, usually just tighten it until it busts off. Go buy another one, put it on, and then just don't tighten it just tight. I'm kidding. Just snug, and then, like I said, another quarter of a turn or so, and you should be pretty good. If it's too loose, you can retighten it. But these things, like I said, with the copper on each side and squish it down there, you're usually pretty safe with those. You know, you're doing it like this. You're not under the vehicle or whatever. So you know, as long as you got a clean shot on it, a good socket, and good, you know, you're good to go. So. Okay. Final tighten up on the brake line there. It's really a pretty good idea, if you don't do this a lot, to have a list. I've been doing it a long time, and while I forget stuff all the time, I do remember it. I mean, it might be at 1 in the morning. I'm like, oh. But, yeah. Alright, up here, we're going to tighten this thing up here. Get it over here. Alright. That ought to do it. That should do her. Yeah, okay. Clips on here. Alright, and again, we've got a missing caliper bolt. It's a little bigger than this one, but I got this one in here, and it should, that one threads in there pretty loosely all the way around because it's too small. So like I said, worst case scenario, I'll have to loosen that up again to get the new bolts in there, but I will try and get all that on videotape, or at least comment on it. So I think we're ready to move this stuff out of the way here and put the wheel on. Let's see. Cleaned all this stuff, put it back on, got one missing caliper bolts, got these things in there, got this turned around the right direction, got this on here, brake line on here, clips, tightened up here, copper washer on each side, cleaned off the rotor again. Okay, I think we're ready to put the wheel on it here. Let me pause it here and get some of this crap out of the way. Pause. Stop. Newer cameras don't have a pause button. Okay. Again, I kind of went over everything, double checked everything, so we're pretty much good to go here. Get some of this out of the way and go get the wheel. Again, if you're not a big person, and even if you are, I mean, this thing's heavy. I mean, you are not, you know, you are not a weak person for not just being able to hoist one of these things up in the air. And I guarantee you, anybody that does it every day, all day long, after, oh, probably 10 or 20 years, that's probably all they're lifting is their beer. Maybe not. Okay. Put some nice lug nuts on it and call it a day. All right. Oh, there we go. So now, okay, we're up at this part of it here. Both of my master cylinder over here, which is, how'd that happen? Oh, probably fairly in. Now we got to fill the master cylinder with brake fluid, and we got to crack all these bleeder screws open and bleed the brakes. That's always fun. That's like a whole separate video in itself, really. Honestly, I may divide it up that way. I mean, it'll all be one video with this, but okay. All right. Time to wrench these things a little bit, and then we'll drop her down and again, if you absolutely have to, I mean, I don't know why you would, but you know, if you got to wedge something under the wheel here, I mean, you can usually get it. You know, if you're on the side of the road or something and you're totally screwed, you could, if you couldn't lower it enough to where you could, you know, tighten them. But otherwise, just tighten them on there a little bit, set her down, and then finish it off. And remember the jack stand. And if you're like, gee, have you ever put the vehicle down without removing the jack? Yeah. I don't care how good a mechanic you are, you do any of this kind of stuff long enough, I mean, you've got some stories to tell. And some of them aren't pleasant. All right. Definitely don't want to leave this out here. We know how important this is. Okay. Start to pick up the width. All right. And again, I'll just take the camera off of here. The jack point I used on the fronts on this particular vehicle was that right there. It's just kind of that main support that runs under there. You don't want to do it right on the edge where it's rounded there, but right in the middle there where it kind of slopes up a little, and you know, use some extra jack stands and it's good to go. So it's really starting to get windy out here. Good thing I'm about done here for this part anyways. Alright, so let it down and tighten her up. Alright. And we don't want to forget our lovely center cap. Sears and Roebuck left the lug nuts loose on a car of mine when I was a teenager. It came off. Long story, but yeah, it happens. Generally not if you've had it happen to you, though. If you've ever had a wheel come off of a car because of the lug nuts not being on there or being wrong, I don't care whether someone else did it or you did it, probably won't ever happen again on one of your cars. Okay. It's like you just want to put some silicone around here or something. I mean, not really. Like I said, if I ever have another vehicle that has these on there, or the person that owns this ever loses one or anything, I'm just going to be like, just paint the rims, put some nice lug nuts on it, and call it a day. All right. Oh.